Welcome to the Ritual Disc Flip podcast. If this is your first time, my name is Chris Nays. I am a musician and music lover from St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. Each episode, myself and a guest will analyze a record, sometimes old and sometimes new. And also, on occasion, we will have concert reviews, this being one of those occasions. Let's do a little housekeeping before we get into the review, and I will introduce my guest in a second. If you enjoy the show, share it, Facebook it, tweet it out on your social media of choice, write us a review, or email us directly at ritualdiscflip@gmail.com. Send me any comments, suggestions, or anything at all. It is greatly appreciated and it helps out people trying to find shows like this one. And, of course, find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and all the socials at Ritual Disc Flip. We're pretty active on there. Been teasing the next album that we're going to cover. And I think nobody knows what it is yet. So nobody's even close. So go on the socials and continue trying to guess which album it is.
Idiots.
I'll introduce you in a second. Let's see here. So, my guest on this concert review is my lovely girlfriend, Lindsey Burke. Lindsey, how are you doing on this icy day outside?
I'm tired.
You tired?
Yep.
You just got ready for work, so
Yep.
we're just going to do a little mini episode this time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You sound excited
Mm-hmm.
to do it.
Mm-hmm.
First off, let's...
Why is there your hair on the microphone?
Well, there's always my hair on everything in this apartment. Why would you be surprised? So, ignore the hair. Let's kind of set a baseline. Do you have any previous knowledge of the Neal Morse band?
Not prior to Similitude, no.
So technically, yes, you saw them 2 years ago with me.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of that show?
It was pretty good.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Had you listened to the album before we went and saw it that time?
Yeah, I listened to, with you.
Like in the car or
Yeah.
at the apartment, I'll just throw it on once in a while.
Exactly. Like road trips and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I know you like to listen to music like when you're getting ready for work and stuff like that, and you usually put on bands like Rush,
Mm-hmm.
Queen, that kind of thing. Do you
Motivational stuff.
Do you use like
basically.
Spotify, or what do you do?
No, I have the iTunes music thing. I don't even know that I pay monthly for. It's like-
So you just play it through your phone,
Mhm.
no headphones, no nothing.
Mm-mm.
I guess that is probably the easiest way to listen to music nowadays.
Mhm.
You just put it on your phone, bam, there it is.
Yep.
Well, I'm glad you had some previous knowledge because they did play a little bit of that Similitude, and we'll get to that. Let's see here.
Kitty
So,
boy, do you have any comments, questions?
no, Kitty's pretty quiet today.
He's sleeping.
So, let's get to this show, shall we? So, the morning of, I get off of work, come home. You have the day off, so you just kind of lounge around.
Watch King of the Hill. Yep.
Yep. And so you had a nice, relaxing day.
Mm-hmm.
I slept from about noon to 6.
You woke up with the poops.
Woke up, had the poops. We're not going to get into any further detail
No
about
brown
that.
talk? No brown talk.
I will spare the listeners the brown talk. But it wasn't a good situation, I'll say that. And I was very nervous about the potential of having to deal with that at the show, which is never a thing you want to happen. One time we had Mexican food before a Thor Hammer show, and it was awful. So, anyway, luckily, I was able to get everything situated before we left.
Got it all out, guys.
Got it all out. And that's as much detail as we'll get. Let's move on.
He released the crappin'.
Let's move on.
All right.
So we rush out the door to the show at about 7 o'clock. Stage time was 8 p.m., so, we live fairly close. We got there in plenty of time. Delmar Hall. What do you think of that venue in specific?
It's a nice venue.
Isn't it? It's only like 2 years old.
I mean, it's pretty smaller than an average. Well, it's bigger than like Foam and other places like that in the local St. Louis area, but it is a nicer, newer venue for sure.
Yeah, it's not just like a bar type of venue. It's like a fancy actual concert venue with a bar attached.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've probably seen 4 shows there now. A bunch of different kinds of stuff like prog and then metal and then death metal. So it actually fits for all types of those situations. This show, though,
I think I've been there 3 times.
Yeah,
this is 3rd time.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's
I
right.
saw Sunset of Apollo and then Similitude. When they did the Similitude album, I went there and then this album.
So for this show, though, it was no general admission, all seated all the way throughout the venue this time. We get in there. I check out the merch situation.
Of course you did.
Picked out a couple of things. I got a beanie.
And then you went back and you got some more stuff.
Well, that first time I also got the Mike Portnoy drum cam, which I'm very stoked to watch that. I have a lot of those, by the way, that I barely ever watch, but that's besides the point. I just want it because it's so good. Okay, so I had second thoughts after that. I go back to get vinyl. He says he forgot a box of the vinyl that I want in the trailer, so he's going to have to go out later and get it. So I had to wait till the end of the show to go back and get the vinyl that I wanted. You did not get any merch, but you're not really a
merchy
concert
person, no.
like T-shirt type wearing person. So, So anyway, merch situation was all good. They were out of like tour shirts and a bunch of different other stuff, and that I've heard that they had earlier in the tour. So I don't know what that's about, but maybe they're going to restock soon or something, and I can find some stuff on the website.
I mean, there's probably stuff that's in their trailer or whatever that they allow a certain X amount to be used through certain cities, you know what I mean? So they can keep a good tally on so everybody that could get it from different cities.
Yeah, I think what they do is like they stock a big time for their early shows and then kind of let it trickle down, like let it sort of naturally everything lowers at the same kind of amount. Then they can restock everything at the same time.
Because they have to make a profit off of it.
Right.
Instead of just, buying a bunch at a time, keep going buying a bunch of it.
Yeah.
Might as well make a profit off of it and make whatever profit they can actually buy more gear.
Right. So after I deal with that, we meet up with Nate, his girlfriend, and his son. Which is really cool. I believe that Nate's son was probably the youngest person there.
Probably, and he was wearing a Queen shirt.
I didn't see any kids there besides him.
And he's really cute.
Yeah, he had a nice, like you said, the Queen official logo T-shirt.
That he got from Santa Claus.
Yeah. And, I just really think with Nate, it's such good parenting. Because if that's his first show, he's got me beat by a freaking mile,
you know? Yeah, me too.
I think mine was Corn.
Gross.
Yeah. Didn't know it was gross at the time. Even grosser, also on that show, Stained.
Ugh. Were you wearing jean coats at that time?
Probably.
Gross.
Yeah. Middle school, so most likely.
Or was it trip pants? That's what it was. Trip pants.
No, most likely Jinkos, if I were to guess.
I mean, it was in the mix of both, I guess, at the time. It's gross.
So, so we were sitting very, very close to them, so that was cool. However, when I bought tickets, I thought that our seats were in the same place they were, or the same section they were the last time we saw Neal Morse band, which is in front of the soundboard.
Yeah. So,
here's where we start running into issues, right? Our seats are behind the soundboard. The sound guys aren't really in our line of sight. Like, they're up a little bit from us, but in between the sound guy and us is just some random lady who is sitting in the sound booth but not actually doing any work in there. So for the entire overture part, the opening 10 minutes of the show, this lady is directly in our line of sight.
And definitely in front of mine.
Yeah.
and I could not see anything.
Right.
I'm like, she's not even a big lady, but she could not see anything.
And she had her hair up in a ponytail and stuff, like a beanie too on top of that. So like we could literally, you and I couldn't see anything. And I was whispering to you, I'm like, I kind of want to go and stand up and go over there. And you're like, just go. And I'm like, but I don't want to leave you.
And I'm like, I'll fight it out, whatever.
So what ends up happening is after the overture finally wraps up, it's like 10 minutes in, she walks away and goes, and she never gets in front of us again. So what was she doing there for the first song and then no other song?
Enjoying it? I don't know.
I have no idea what that was about, but it was really annoying. And then once she leaves, you kind of move over and I sort of sit where you were or something like that. We sort of rearranged a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And still in our line of sight is the microphone stand for the soundboard that's not being used, right? So I'm watching the first half of the show through a mic stand, and I could see everything around it, but it was still super annoying. So I was patient, and I waited to interrupt until the sound guy... at the intermission, I went over and I was like, hey, man, while you're not working, can you move that mic stand down? Because it's super easy. All you got to do is, like...
Push it down,
right. And he did it, no problem. I probably could have asked him earlier, but I'm not going to bother him while he's working. No. He's doing his job. You know what I mean? I wanted the show to
You don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to be that guy. Like, what if I grab him and he, like... some accident happens where he pushes on all the buttons
no. And all the freaking strobes go up
and then you hear like a record stop and everyone looks at me while I'm talking to him,
jerk,
and I'm that guy like you said. So anyway, he moved it. Everything was pretty copacetic after that, right? Like we didn't have anything in our line of sight after that.
Nope.
Okay, so here's some highlights of the show. Everybody kind of knows what the set list is going to be. Is the entire new album, both discs of the new album, and then the Thelma and I kind of discussed this on the first episode of this podcast. I didn't want to be spoiled of what the encore was, so I had no idea what it was. But some notes I took through the set on my phone, and maybe this was
Who does that? Why do you just enjoy the show? Don't take it.
No, I was enjoying it. I was just like. Taking a couple of notes here and there. And this will kind of jar your memory of stuff, and maybe if you have something that you noticed through the show, you can feel free to say whatever you want.
Uh-huh.
Neal's double neck acoustic. Did you notice him playing that throughout the show?
Uh-huh.
It's electric acoustic, but it was badass, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's helpful.
Wait, I wanted to say something. Did Mike not have his sloth or whatever on his drum kit this show? Because I did not see it.
Yeah, no sloth because sloth is not in
Mickey.
Sloth is not in this story.
No Mickey either.
Yeah, so for listeners, Mickey, Mike's dog, made an appearance at the Sons of Apollo show that we saw, and Lindsey was very much hoping that we get a return of Mickey.
He's so cute.
Sadly, we did not.
I think he brought him on the first, when they did the Similitude, too. I'm pretty sure he brought him on that show, too.
He did not bring him out for Similitude.
Really?
I would remember. Yes, because he posted on Instagram and stuff when the Sons of Apollo tour came through, but... his family generally doesn't come out with him on the road, but on that tour,
well, I know his
wife and his dog were there with him.
I mean, I know his son has his own stuff going on too.
Yeah, his son actually got voted best up and coming drummer this year for Modern Drummer.
That's pretty awesome.
And it happened to be like 25 years on the same day that Mike was.
Oh, it's an anniversary!
Isn't that like adorable?
That is adorable. I love it.
So,
continue. I'm sorry.
I really wanted to see the dog too. Obviously, the dog's cute as hell. If you watch any of Mike's social media when he's home,
there's Mickey and there's Mickey and there's Minnie.
Right.
They're adorable.
So yes, I thoroughly enjoyed Neal's double neck acoustic throughout the show. Plenty of songs he uses that on, and it's super badass. So in the first sort of audience talk break, Neal tells a story about he was the annoying guy at parties and would always put on Yes and point out when certain nerdy things would happen, like the key bass notes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious and is totally like if you're ever at a party growing up and you're the only one who's into prog and you put on Rush or something like that, you're that guy who's like, you're being way too excited about this. Maybe you should chill a little bit.
No.
But he would do it at his like family get-togethers and stuff, which that's awesome. You could tell he comes from a good upbringing.
Right.
You know? Like his family encouraged his love of music. So I thought that was really funny. What'd you think of during the song "The Great Adventure" when they paused for the whistle, like the gym teacher's whistle?
It's like he had to like quiet it down, then he had to like blow the whistle.
Yeah,
it's like wait, you guys want to wait for this whistle right now.
There's an extra long, like a pregnant pause.
Yeah,
and then the whistle.
Yep.
And then everyone laughs, and
he held up his one finger, like wait a second,
yeah,
wait a second,
right.
Wait a second.
Very cool. It was planned. Like that's a thing that happens at every show, I'm sure, but still amazing. Everybody, the crowd really gets a kick out of it, so that's what makes it special for everyone, you know.
Yeah, especially the man spread guy next to us. He was getting all up in there.
I explained to Lindsay what man spreading was. And for the listener who doesn't know, it's basically where you spread your legs really far, even though you have plenty of room. That guy actually got up and went and stood over on the side because he was tired of the lady sitting in front of us and then the microphone stand. So he never came back.
No, he didn't. He just put his stuff underneath the chair.
More room for us.
Yep.
So let's see.
I was kind of thrown off there because he was wearing a Meshuggah shirt, and then like
see, that's the thing is like prog attracts different types of fans. Like technically Meshuggah is a type of progressive music. It's super heavy and it incorporates odd time signatures, and so those are the two elements that tie it
and he was like super Christian, like lifting up his hand, and I was thrown off. I was just thrown off a little
bit. What you're saying is you're being discriminatory against Christian people. They can't listen to Meshuggah?
No, I didn't. Okay, switch the subject.
Defend yourself. No,
I was just thrown off a little bit.
I it's understandable. Like you don't expect to see a death metal shirt or a extreme prog metal shirt.
Yes.
However, the ties that bind those two genres together, I can see why.
I know Neal Morse.
Because I'm a big Meshuggah fan.
I know, but I know Neal Morse is also super Christian related.
Yeah.
Prog rock, basically.
Yeah, so. but also for another point on this, like Meshuggah isn't singing about how Jesus sucks. You know what I'm saying? They're just a metal band.
I'm a jerk, guys.
I'm just making points. That's all.
I'm a jerk.
I'm not saying you're a jerk at all.
Yeah, I'm a jerk.
Okay, moving on, I guess.
Moving on, next subject.
What did you think about Mike using the shaker at one point? Did you see that?
I kind of did.
He stands up. I actually have a pair of these up at the practice space, but like they're these egg shakers, and
like maracas.
You go like this, and they go.
It's like a maraca.
So in order for them to show up on.
If I see one more piece of your hair out of this microphone,
you gotta talk. You gotta talk into it.
And then like it's stuck to my mouth. I keep finding hair on this microphone. Why do you give me this one? It's probably on that one too.
Oh man, this happened on the old show a lot.
This is disgusting.
It's not that.
It's gross. Not sanitary.
I tried to clean them off. It didn't work.
Yeah, obviously.
So the shaker egg thing was happening. He has to get up and stand up and like put it closer to the microphones up top, like the condenser microphones that catch the cymbal noise. So when he did that, the sound guy like motioned to the other sound guy, was like, hey. So
he was getting into it too.
What I think he was doing is like, yeah, I heard those, because like the sound guy boosts the signal when something that's that quiet needs to be heard. He'll boost up those mics for that moment.
Exactly.
I think that's what he was telling him, or maybe he's just excited about it.
I mean, either or.
I mean, I heard him very clearly, and we were all the way in the back.
Yeah.
So, here was maybe the highlight of the show, and you tell me what you thought about this. They're playing The Element of Fear, which is a mostly instrumental song, but it has some crazy prog elements in it, like odd time signature stuff. And he's playing his 12-string. First of all, I was excited about that. He brought that back out again. Then, who shows up on the big screens behind them But
Freaking
R2D2.
D2.
So I know you got excited because I saw that happen.
Yes.
But
I'm pretty sure I nudged you too. Like, look,
I
oh
wanted.
my God.
I almost got a picture of it, but it was too fast of a moment.
Yeah.
Like they show a couple of clips of R2 like going back and forth.
Well, he was
And then there's a close up with like lightning coming out around him, and it looks super badass. And I hope I can get a picture of it somewhere.
I think because Bill was using one of his like synthesizers. It sounds like him, you know.
Totally, it sounds like R2 noises.
Right.
So that I thought of that like when you listen to it, you can't help but think of that.
Of course.
You know, so it just fits 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, we're both big Star Wars fans, obviously, so we loved it. A really nice touch.
Yep.
Take a drink of water really quick. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of the second set. I just, for some reason, the thing I put in here is just the title of the last song they played, "Love That Never Dies." What'd you think of the encore, or what'd you think of the last song with Eric singing most of the vocals? Like, don't you think Eric does such a fucking good job live? Like, really all of them do, but Neal gives a lot of vocal moments to the other members in the band. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like, between... Okay, I'm really bad with names.
Okay.
The guitarist and
Eric.
Bill, the keyboardist.
Yep.
They have soprano voices.
Yeah.
So it works good when they do their kind of like duet things. And then Mike kind of has a lower voice, so when he does it just works.
Yeah, they do a lot of vocal harmonies with different parts all at the same time.
But you don't ever really hear Randy, like the bassist, ever sing.
No, he has a couple of moments, like one moment in specific on this record where he's talking about the Panticle Pantry.
Yeah.
And he's talking in like a English voice, and that's way earlier in the show. But
all the shirts
yeah
that I've ever seen this guy wear, even like we've seen the YouTube videos, the last show that we went
like
to,
silk shirts.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He looks like a taxi driver, and I love
the
it.
hat too.
Oh yeah. The golf hat, backwards golf hat, or what? I don't know.
It could even be a taxi driver's hat.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like it.
They have interesting style choice.
Yep.
I didn't actually mention Neal's costume changes either. He had some really cool, interesting stuff going on.
The one when he brought out his costume for Vanity Fair, I was kind of like, oh my God, why is he doing this?
Well, in the break after that too, because they do this like really fast circusy thing at the end of that song. Mike is like, "What the hell just happened?" Which, everything, all the banter and all that stuff, like only enhanced the show for me. I love when they're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell they're having a good time. But going back to "Love That Never Dies," like such a powerful, emotional song to end the album.
Yeah.
I know you kind of texted me last night how you were really touched emotionally throughout the show.
Between the first half and then like the last when they were doing the encore, definitely.
Just looking back, I honestly would really have liked to be a little bit closer than we were. Because the soundboard was in between us, I felt a little detached somehow. Like, just because we're watching through the sound guys the whole night. It didn't ruin the show for me, but like I do like to be right down in the mix with everybody else. And we were sort of like, it sort of felt like a VIP section, but we weren't in a VIP spot.
We're very
we were
important people, guys.
I feel pretty important. Do you feel important?
At least you're tall enough where you can kind of see over some people. And
there's that. Like, I know especially sitting down, like you're a shorter person. So like,
I'm just a shorter person in general.
I guess, but like but sitting down, it makes it worse because the tall people who are right in front of you make it even more difficult, right?
I guess.
If you're standing up, you can position yourself better, but if you have an assigned seat, you can't position yourself at all. You have to stay there. Anyway, good input. Moving to the encore, I was very pleasantly surprised by what they chose to do, which is they started all the way back from the beginning of Neal's solo albums. Mm-hmm. And then picked really sort of like peak moments from each of them.
Yeah.
And it ended up being like
6
wanna
or
say,
7
like,
songs.
Yeah, something like that. But each of them they ran the gamut from like a couple of minutes to maybe like
And they were all merged
6
together.
or 7 minutes. Yeah, and they all ran together like in a medley.
Yeah.
And you could tell they spent a lot of time trying to figure out which parts, because they picked a lot of really good parts that people would love.
Yeah.
You know, fan favorites,
Of course.
I would say. And then they ended with the end of the original Similitude.
Mm-hmm.
Such a fantastic way to end the show. It was like almost 30 minutes long of an encore.
Yeah.
And I feel like they chose that because that's going to make everybody happy, you know? Like, if they're able to pull that off, that checks a lot of boxes for people around the room. You know what I mean? Like, some people want to hear from this album. Some people want to hear from this album. This way, everybody gets a little bit of what they would like. You know what I mean? And if there's something they don't like, it's only going to last a couple minutes, and then they'll be on to the next song.
Right.
So, anyway, that was how they ended the show. Would you say thumbs up on this show or thumbs down?
Thumbs up for sure.
I would also say thumbs up.
But is it a double thumbs?
Would you say it was better than Similitude show?
I really like that album.
The Similitude.
Yes. I think that's probably my favorite. I kind of like that album more than this one.
Yeah.
So
same here.
So I kind of it's a good album. It was a great show, but I just
Great Adventure was a great show. Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. I think I like Similitude live more, but we talked about this a little bit on the last episode. There's a couple of songs that I'm sort of like halfway in on. I don't really like them that much. Like Vanity Fair was better live. Hey Ho Let's Go was better live. So those were sort of the main ones that I was sort of iffy on.
I couldn't get into Vanity Fair. I'm sorry. It's just kind of I know it's prog rock, so everything changes up. It can be different. Yeah. But it's just like from like the first part of the album to like the second half. It's just it doesn't kind of fit to me.
I don't feel like Vanity Fair fits very well, but hey, listen, they wrote it. They are having a good time.
Well, yeah.
Clearly, they had fun playing it. I actually liked it more live than I do on the album because, you know, they're like skidding around on stage all funny and, you know.
Neal in his crazy costume.
It boosted those songs for me.
Right.
I'm still going to say that Similitude is better.
Yes.
And I like the Similitude show more. I like the encore of this one more, though.
Yes.
So, you know, you have to weigh that out a little bit. Oh, I forgot to mention I got Great Adventure on vinyl as well. I'm really excited to dig into that. So, apparently on the vinyl, they had to submit it earlier. So, like, they made changes for the CD. So, there are parts on the vinyl that are not on the CD version. Yeah. That's super nerdy inside information, I know. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this.
Nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Nerd alert. That's going to do it for this podcast, though. I hope to have you on again if we go to another show together. I think that's the thing that's going to happen.
Dream Theater next month.
That's correct.
Uh-huh.
I may do show review with a guy from Chicago for that one. Or he's not from Chicago. He'll be at that show, though.
He doesn't love me, guys.
Maybe we'll do more than one review.
No. It's okay. You voiced your opinion, sir.
He called it. I got to say, he said he wanted to do it before you did. So
I live with you.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll do two then.
I do your laundry.
Your thoughts are important to me. So
I cook for you.
I'm gonna do both, and we're gonna include them on the same episode. How about that plan?
How about we just get another freaking mic?
Well, we can't. So when I Skype with him, it's more complicated. Anyway, this is not information the listeners need to know.
We'll talk
about it off mic.
Yeah.
We're closing this episode now.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, listeners, for listening.
Uh-huh.
Give us feedback at Ritual Disc Flip on all the social medias, or email me at ritualdiscflip@gmail.com. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, give us a review on your podcast app of choice. the iTunes is, all those places. It helps people find us. And we want people to find us, right, Lindsay?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. That's like your catchphrase, I think. Again, thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode, which I'm not sure what it will be yet, but it will be something, and you'll hear it soon. Do you want to say goodbye to the listeners?
Bye.
Bye. Kitty, say bye.
Kitty.
Nah, he's quiet.
Yeah, he opened his eyes and he closed it. Yep. He's not into it today.
Bye.
Bye.